Back on Game Day Scoreboard, powered by Ram Trucks, as we take you out to one of the cathedrals of the sport. Trent Green joining us from Lambeau Field. Trent, it's great to see you, and we got a great game out of this one when it looked like in moments we would not. Let's stay with that theme of belief, a growing belief in not only Sam Darnold, but this entire Vikings roster. I want you to talk to me specifically about that throw to Justin Jefferson. What sort of belief does it take in oneself as a quarterback to even try that throw?
Well, first off, it has to be the utmost trust, and that's really the relationship that's built between a quarterback and receiver over a number of different reps and a number of different throws. And when you try and put your guy in the best possible position and knowing that you're putting the ball at risk, that there's a potential for an interception or something negative to happen, it's got to be the utmost of trust, especially based on the situation of the game, the timing of the game, and what you want to try and get done. So Sam Darnold already having that trust in game number 4 with Justin Jefferson.
Darnold looking fantastic in this 4-game sample size. I want to get back to the Vikings in a second, but this could have been a lay down, get to next week, bury the tape game for Green Bay, but we know they are one of the finest coached teams in this league. What sort of moral victory? I know none exist, but what can they take away from the way they played in the final 30 minutes of this game?
Well, I think the thing is, like you said, they never gave up. The fact that Jordan Love, after missing a couple of games, came back. I don't think they want him to throw over 50 times like he did today. They were able to put up some numbers, and he played well. He did have those 3 interceptions, which is tough to deal with, but they do know that this team is going to get better. They are going to get healthy. They are going to continue to grow from this. And I think when you're down 28-0, and then all of a sudden you get that big burst of energy at the end of the half where they're able to get the late touchdown to get it to 28-7, then come out in the second half and score another 22 unanswered points before the Vikings ultimately get some points on the board to make it a 2-score game late in the 4th quarter. But the fact that they didn't give up, they gave that energy, I think that speaks volumes. You have to remember, this is still the youngest team in the NFL. They were the youngest team in the NFL a year ago. They're still the youngest team in the NFL. So these are all growing pains and growing experiences, and I think we'll just make them better for it down the road.
Yeah, if nothing else, you squeeze some value out of those game scenarios that you might not have seen if you do let go of the rope earlier in this one. Expectation is always how we lead into this season. Nobody expected this of the Minnesota Vikings outside of maybe, let's say, that building in Minnesota, and we know that's what matters most, but wire-to-wire wins over the Packers, the Niners, and the Houston Texans. The expectation for those teams was to be there on Championship Sunday. What have you learned over this month about this version of the Vikings?
Well, I think there's 2 things that jump out to me immediately. Number one is the play of Sam Darnold, right? J.J. McCarthy got hurt. He was the #1 draft pick. They thought he was going to be the guy, and Darnold would be the veteran backup. Instead, he's thrust into the spotlight, and he's then done nothing but shine in the 4 victories, leading the NFL in touchdown passes and what he's been able to do in leading the Vikings to a 4-0 record. So it starts with him, and it starts with the weapons that he has around him. They're only going to get more. Addison came back today. He was a big factor in this game. Hockenson will be back in the next few weeks. That'll add another potential weapon to this offense, and Aaron Jones is a nice complement with that run game and his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Then you flip it to the other side with the defense. Brian Flores, year number 2, putting this system in. A year ago, he was the #1 blitz team, blitz defense in the NFL. They went out and got a bunch of stars. They got Grenard, they got Van Ginkel, they got Cashman, guys that are making an impact on a down-to-down basis. They're able to get after the quarterback, lead the NFL in sacks, and they're able to get takeaways, which they were able to do today. So I think overall, they just have a really good feel of what they're doing on both sides of the ball.
Looked like an unseasonably warm day there in Schwaben, on the sun obviously shining on these Vikings and always on our Trent Green. Appreciate you, Trent.
All right, thank you.
Don't forget, each and every week we set the stage for you. Our team, the NFL Today, beginning 12 Eastern time. JB and the gang setting the table like no one can. Tune in each and every week on CBS. Back here on Game Day Scoreboard alongside Ryan Wilson. Ryan, so much of what Trent said there resonates, and I think praise can go a lot of different places for this Vikings team, whether it want to be head coach, play caller, quarterback, or just the belief that they've led with throughout this season. What strikes you about this team? Because I think we're past the let's wait and see. These are 3 big wins to lead off a year.
When we talk about week in and week out with the young quarterbacks, fit matters. Fit also matters for veteran quarterbacks trying to rediscover their game from when they were top 5 picks and then didn't work out in their first or second stops, or maybe even third stops if you're Sam Darnold. I think what Kevin O'Connell has gotten out of Sam Darnold has been elite quarterback play, and there's a conversation that he might be in the MVP mix, and I think that's fair to say, given the way he's played through the first month of the season. On the other side of the ball, we've seen what Brian Flores, B-Flow, has gotten out of this team. We heard Trent talk about this is now year 2, so a lot of these players are familiar with what B-Flow wants, and we're seeing it play out in real time, much to the detriment of the opposing team's quarterback. I think the other thing is, and not to keep going back to that Georgia-Alabama game, but when you get out to a 28-0 lead, sometimes it's hard to maintain that lead, and the second half was a lot different than the first half. It's a tale of 2 halves, and yes, it was close to the end, and credit goes to Jordan Love and that offense for getting back into it. But this was a dominant performance, and you have to feel great about where you are with the understanding that your first-round pick, J.J. McCarthy, will not play this year. Sam Darnold is not only carrying the load, he's making it look easy at times.
So you took us from one let's wait to see conversation to the next one. Sam Darnold MVP? Let's wait to see. Shout out David Sampson.